I'm Nick Kimball. I'm the Assistant City Manager and Chief Financial Officer for the City of South Pasadena. Prior to working with the City of South Pasadena, I was both the Finance Director and the City Manager for the City of San Fernando. I would say over the last 20 years of my career in finance, there have been a number of sort of peaks and valleys and costs, and I lived through the 2008 housing crisis and that impact on city revenues, and then in 2012 the state eliminated redevelopment funding, which many cities relied upon the funding streams we used to be able to use to offset the impacts of new development and really make sure that our infrastructure kept up with anything that the new building and all of the new laws that required us to allow more zoning and building in the city. There's no funding stream for those. And then I would say when COVID hit, that really had a big impact on raw materials. So not only do we not have the funding that we used to have to be able to upgrade infrastructure and increase our services to the community, but those raw materials and the tools that we need to provide that service or upgrade that infrastructure became more expensive. And since COVID, that hasn't really come down much. The labor costs and the material costs have remained high, so we're just trying to adjust and doing our best to make sure every tax dollar we get into the city is stretched as far as it can. One of the highest city council priority and the directive from the newly hired city manager was that we needed to get the city's financial house in order. And so we've spent the last couple months working with each department. As a finance department, we spent the last couple months working with each department to really review what their expenditures were. As they put forward their budget asks for this upcoming year, we asked the really tough questions of each department, and we looked at the last couple years of spending history. And if we noticed that what they were putting forward didn't align with what they had spent in the last few years, then we would just adjust that down. If you're asking for $80,000 but you've only been spending $50,000, then we can only allocate you $50,000 for the upcoming year. And we noted, we still have a little bit of a gap here, and we said we need 7% more from each operating department. They all came out, but we can't, and we made it clear, we need 7% more, and we cannot reduce service to the community. There's an expectation here, and our duty is to provide the same level of service. So we were able to, by working with each department, find that extra 7 or 8% that we needed to balance the budget this year. So I feel really confident that we tightened our belt this year. We really made sure our financial house is in order, that we're funding all of our recurring, ongoing services out of our recurring, ongoing revenues. Which is really putting us on a good path to sustainability going forward. That being said, we really focused on operating and basic services, basic maintenance, to the extent that we are need to go above and beyond in any areas, whether that's special services, whether that's events to the community that are new events that haven't been provided in the past, or those are large increases in infrastructure spending. Those are all not necessarily in the operating budget and are areas that we need to focus on finding funding sources because they just aren't available with existing resources.